All right, so now we're going to get into picking your teammate, also called your accountability partner. So let's go over why you need an accountability partner. First thing is that your prefrontal cortex, so that decision-making part of your brain, has been destroyed a little bit from watching porn for so long. And this is an excerpt from The Porn Myth. By 25, the prefrontal cortex has become mature and is fully grown. This part of the brain is responsible for wise decision-making, and in cocaine and meth addicts, when they used, science would show a shrinkage in the brain's frontal cortex. It was also noticed, however, for people who overate and who were sex addicts. Now, this part of your brain, again, is used for decision making. And so you can't just rely on willpower and I can do it myself, because those muscles have been deteriorated. So you need someone by your side to help you through this. Now, this right here as well, this is from the American Society of Training and Development. They did a study in 2010 on accountability, and they found out that the probability of completing a goal is 10% if you have an idea or a goal, 25% if you consciously decide you'll do it, 40% if you decide when you'll do it, 50% if you plan on how you'll do it, 65% if you commit to someone you will do it, and 95% if you have a specific accountability appointment with the person you've committed to. It's as simple as that. Having that accountability partner is critical for your success. So let's go over how to pick that accountability partner. So the first thing is having a moment of vulnerability. That's it. You just got to have one moment. And all you need to say is just, I'm looking for an accountability partner. You don't need to say, I'm on weird website 123 and I jerk off 25 times a day. You don't need to say any of that. Just say, I'm looking for an accountability partner, and see how they respond. Now, if they do respond with a yes, then they need to watch this video and the next video so they understand what the responsibilities entails and what that means to be your teammate through this process. Now, a question often comes up, can I have multiple teammates? Can I have, 25 people that I'm touching? Hey, that's fine to have 25 people that you're in this fight with, but you want to have one or two teammates that you're checking in with every single day. Because those relationships are more than just, hey, I see them once a week and they live on the other side of the country. No, this is someone who's in your life, who's checking in with you, that cares about you, who is ready to go and go into this battle with you. So it's okay to have multiple people, but you're going to have one or two teammates who are right there by your side each and every day. Now, you might be saying, well, could I use my wife or my girlfriend? Hopefully you don't have both those things. But if you're married or if you have a serious relationship, you need to be going through our couples course that we have in Team Vulnerable. So go to our website, get that course, and be going through it, because your girlfriend or your wife, they could be your ultimate accountability partner. And so I want you to go through that course if that's your situation. Now, some qualities to look for with this teammate. First, they need to care about you. It can't be someone that hates you or doesn't like you or, anything like that. Second, they want you to overcome this. They're not trying to drag you down, and they're willing to hold you accountable. In addition, they need to be encouraging. They need to be right by your side each step along the way, cheering you on. And you want it to be someone who's vulnerable, who's real, who's loving. When I mean real, I look at Kobe Bryant right here. He was a very real guy. He'd tell you how it is. And then qualities to look for. The closer this person is to you, the better. You don't want this to be someone that you really don't care about if they, hear that you messed up. You want this to be someone where you care. They're holding you accountable, and that's an important thing. And then second, you want them to be physically in the same area as you to set up those devices. They're going to put on different things on those devices to make sure everything's squared away. You don't want them to be in, China, and you're over here in America, and you got to fly 15 hours to see each other. You want them to be in the same area. Now, is it okay to switch teammates if they don't have these attributes? The answer to that question is yes, but be careful. Don't be too trigger happy with that, right? It might be maybe you're being a little sensitive. It might not be, but you need to make sure that if it's not the right partner, switch and get that person who is going to be by your side. Now let's talk about unreasonable expectations. So that might be 2-minute response times, or you want them to talk to you for 4 hours a day, or you want them to be a professional therapist, or for them to drag you through this, because that's absolutely not what we're doing here. And also the last one right here. Oh, I want them to be responsible if I mess up. It's going to be their fault. I can blame them. No, it's you. They are here to spot you in this process. They are not here to lift the weights for you. Now, some warning signs if this is not the right person. They're struggling worse than you. 2 people drowning, probably not the best person to have by your side. They think porn is good. That's definitely not the person you want to have. Cannot talk to you regularly. That is an absolute no-no, and doesn't check back in with you. Now, if it takes them 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day, hey, that's reasonable enough. They're a human being. But if it's a week, a month, a year until you hear back from them, that is absolutely not the right person for you. So let's go over what a check-in will look like with this accountability partner. Now, these conversations can be long or short. They can be 4 hours, they can be 4 minutes, and they can be anything in between. These conversations can be done over text. It could be a phone call. It could be a Zoom. It could be in person. Any of those are fine, but I want want you to be careful of something. If the conversations are always 4 minutes long and they're very shallow and we're not getting deep on anything, well, that's not going to do us any good right there. You got to make sure that we're talking about the things that are going on inside, those emotions. And you must commit to total honesty. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It's a charade. It's stupid. It's a waste of everyone's time. You got to commit to radical transparency. And on these conversations, you need to be going over, how is life going? Don't focus on porn. Hey, I looked up XYZ website. Hey, no. Focus on what's going on inside. What's going on in your life? What's going on? That's what we need to dive into, because willpower is the solution, but it's not the solution. Yes, you are going to have to use willpower, but that's not how you overcome this. That's not how you have freedom from porn, because your willpower muscles are weak right now. They're going to get stronger over time. What we need to do is handle, why are we going to porn in the first place? So we need to make sure our conversations are centric around that, because remember, porn is just a pain reliever. So if we're not talking about the pain, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to make any difference. We got to talk about what's going on inside. In addition, that accountability partner needs to be going over HALT and BS. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired, bored, or stressed. They need to be talking, hey, have you been hungry when you had those urges? Were you angry? Were you lonely? Were you tired? Were you bored? Were you stressed? What was going on when you were feeling that need that you needed to look something up? You also need to be talking about trauma. You need to get deep sometimes on these conversations. I mean real deep, and get into it and start working through what has happened in the past so it doesn't carry on to the future. In addition, you need to go over what you learned in the course today. Don't just say, oh, I learned some stuff. No. What specifically did you learn? And if they can't tell you what they've learned and they're not telling you how they're going to apply it, well, that is a serious problem, and you need to be looking for that. Another great question to ask is, how do you plan on pushing yourself today? Is it going out and talking to that girl? Is it asking for that, job opportunity? Is it, what is that thing? How are you pushing yourself? Always be asking that question too. And then always talk about access points that you're struggling with. So for an example, maybe you get rid of all the hardcore porn in your life, but maybe some Instagram thirst trap is, caught your eye, and all of a sudden it's, hey, you got to cut that thing out of your life. So this is the time to talk about those things and talk about triggers that you can avoid. Hey, I've been going to the gym and all the beautiful women go at this time. Well, maybe you need to go at a different time. And on these conversations, they should ask you what you should do about this problem. As the accountability partner, as the teammate, you shouldn't just be saying, hey, you should do this, and this. No, ask them, what would you do if you were in my shoes? What advice would you give yourself, and what are you going to do about this? Now, you can always add more, but don't do any less than this. Now, I want to go over this right here. It's called brief intervention. And this is something you can do when you're on these calls. And this is going to come from the book 7 Tools to Beat Addiction. And what a brief intervention looks like, you probably had your doctor do this to you before. How much do you drink? And then most people drink this amount. Well, do you believe that this is a problem? And if you do, then the doctor can provide a solution. Now, during these conversations, empathy is key. We talked about it. Empathy is getting down in the hole with them, talking to them, and then offering them that way out. So you want to be supportive of them, not just say, oh man, look at you, you're messing up all the time, you're bad. Shame and hate, we don't need any of that here. We need love, understanding, grace, and we also need that accountability. Now, some frames for you to remember right here. Feedback about risky behavior is given. Responsibility for change is placed with the individual. Advice is given to change. Options and methods are presented. Empathy is expressed during the encounter, and self-efficacy is encouraged. Self-efficacy is you can do it because you can do it. And remember, during these talks, come at the problem in a non-judgmental way. Acceptance that change is needed is necessary, and then schedule a regular follow-up. Now, I want to talk about motivational interviewing. This is kind of the cousin to brief interventions. And this right here is from Stanton Peele, the author of 7 Tools to Beat Addiction. He says, people overcome addictions when they realize that it's in their own best interest to do so. The goal of motivational interviewing is to get people to examine their habits in terms of their own values and goals. So the 5 keys. First, express empathy. Second, explore values and goals. Third, develop discrepancies. 4, roll with resistance. And 5, support self-efficacy. So let's go through an example of what that looks like. And I'm going to use an example of someone who's drinking too much. The man, he says, my wife is always griping that I drink too much. And the questioner says, well, and how does your griping affect you? Well, it's a real pain. The questioner asks, so do you want to do something about that? And what makes her think you drink so much? Well, she just doesn't like me drinking, so when something like when I fell asleep on the couch and spilled my drink, she freaks out, Well, do you think you drank too much that time? Well, yes. Some additional follow-up questions you could ask after that is, describe any other times you may have drunk too much. Did an interaction with your wife spur that episode? How does your wife generally react when she thinks you drank too much? And how does your wife treat you when you don't drink? Some other questions right here is, what is your goal? Is what you're doing now getting you closer to that goal? How does that make you feel? Why do you think you've gotten off the path? In addition, what would cause you to get back on the path? How would you feel if you didn't achieve your goal? How would you feel if you did achieve your goal? The key here is the other person must make the realization that they need to make the change. You can give them the best advice in the world, but if they don't accept that they are the ones that need to make a change, it doesn't matter. Now let's go over your teammates' responsibilities. First, I like to think of it like a gym. You are there to spot them. You are not there to lift the weights for them, to force them to get into the gym. No, you're there to encourage them, to support them that, hey, I'm going to be here. I'll help you. If you need me, you're there for them, but you are not responsible to lift the weights for them and to do all that. You're just there to help spot them throughout this process. And through this process, we're talking about the first 90 days. 90 days, we need a daily check-in. Again, it could be 4 minutes, it could be 4 hours. It depends on the day, it depends on what's going on, but you need to be able to be available for the next 90 days if they need you. Now, do you need to go through the course with them? No, you don't need to, but hey, that's a great thing if you can go through the course with them because you're going to understand what they're learning. You're going to be able to talk to them about it a lot more, but you don't need to. This lesson you need to go through and the next lesson, cleaning house, are the two lessons that you absolutely need to go through in this process. Now, this is for the person who's struggling with porn. You have 24 hours to get rid of whatever you need to get rid of on any of your devices. Delete it, get rid of it. It's gone. It's in the past. We're not focusing on it. We're moving towards the future. And that's because in the next lesson, we're sweeping your house for the devices. We are getting in there. We're putting on blockers. We're going to have reports. Not we, sorry, my apologies. Your teammate is going to get a report of where you've been looking, all this stuff. So now's your chance. Get rid of that stuff that you need to get rid of. Now, some potential musts that you might need to put in. Hey, maybe you need to put find my friends in there. Maybe you need to monitor credit cards. And maybe it's getting rid of the devices that can't be monitored. So, hey, I got this TV and it's got the porn channel on it. I can't get, well, maybe you can't afford that TV anymore. If you can't buy another TV, if you don't have the money to do that, maybe you should be spending your time not watching TV. You should go get a job so you can have some money to buy TVs that are going to fit your lifestyle. Okay. Now get creative with the challenges. I don't care what your situation is. I have a work phone and they require me to be on TikTok all day. No, they do not. That is not an excuse. Get creative with your problems because there's always going to be something that's going on or, oh, I could look at porn this way. And I want to remind you of something. There will always be an option to mess up. It doesn't matter how many blockers you have on or how many accountability partners or how much you watch this course. There will always be an option to mess up. We just want to make it very difficult for you to mess up. And we want to make it an environment where you can come to that teammate, you can talk to them about what's going on, and we can learn to handle our problems like a man and not like a boy who runs away to his pain reliever. You can do this, but I want you to remember there will be an option, but you got to say no at some point and say, you know what? I'm going to talk to my accountability partner. I'm going to talk to my teammate and handle what's going on inside. So now this is for the teammate. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, you need to do two things. First, download the teammate guide. We're going to have that in the bottom of this section right here. And then second, I need you to watch the next video. It's called Cleaning House. And you're going to also watch the tutorial videos on covenant eyes. So if you choose to accept that mission, you know what you need to do. I'll see you in the next section.